everyone. Welcome to another episode of the High Performance Health Podcast. Just the three of us today, me, David, and Colin. Before I get started, I just wanted to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Hope you're all having a wonderful time with your family. And which kind of brings me to today's topic, planning for the holiday season. Obviously, being Thanksgiving today, I want to look past that as well. And I want to start thinking about what December might look like for you. I know in December, dinners start to increase, work functions start to increase, social events with family and friends start to increase as well. Training and nutrition becomes a little bit lower down the priority list. And also talking about sort of setting goals for the month of December as well, and also setting goals for the beginning of January into 2025. So first of all, David, what do you think training should look like in December? How do you approach that with your clients? Do you try and keep things the same? Do you try and increase the intensity? Do you try and encourage people to try and get out a little bit more? What does that look like for you with your clients?
I think there has to be, firstly, a shift in mindset because you've got to appreciate that the schedule is different and you can't have the same mindset of maximizing adaptation from training. So there has to be that shift in mindset. Okay, I'm going to be not so much available as what I usually would, potentially. What can I do the best of my ability in the schedule that I've got? So the mindset has got to be, instead of thinking that you're going to do is maximize your potential on a normal circumstance, you've got to almost have a mindset of, I'm going to try and limit the damage that I would do during this period, because potentially these are the areas that you lose all your fitness. So you want to kind of have a shift in mindset of, let's damage limitate what we're going to be doing. And with training, I guess you could focus on really just not trying to maximize and not trying to, go full out, but just trying to go through a period of consistency without trying to go too hard, really. I guess I'm trying to think of the right word. Just stabilizing your training,
Yeah,
maybe
absolutely.
doing slightly lighter reps, maybe just consistent, but just not going too mad, because your body's probably in a slightly different state to what it would normally be. You're going to be probably eating a little bit more of the foods you enjoy. You're socializing a little bit more, and I don't think you should be in terms of this program just kind of trying to say, "Oh, I'm on a program. I'm going to completely stop doing any of the things that socially we enjoy." We're not, Olympic athletes. We're not, Daley Thompson who trains 3 times on Christmas Day. It's got to be a kind of a damage limitation. So that would be my first kind of, I guess, method to go around it.
Speak for yourself. I'm out there 3 times a day on Christmas Day. How about you, Colin? What is it? What kind of approach do you take? Is it something slightly different, or is it sort of fairly similar to David? What does it look like for you with your clients?
Yeah, I think David's pretty much spot on there. The first thing he said was talking about the mindset shift. And I think that's probably the biggest difference I would say towards the end of the year, because I don't think your training is going to be all that different, but it's more your mindset towards it is a little bit different because your priorities are more on actually enjoying the social times, spending more time with family and friends. So the training and nutrition is less of a priority. And so accepting that and realizing like, okay, well, I am going to maybe just paper things down a little bit to more of a maintaining point. But that's really important to, still be doing something, because we don't want to then start January from scratch. We want to still have some momentum going into it, and then we can really maximize things going into January. But one thing I would say is I feel like, especially once you get over Thanksgiving, it's like, okay, it's the holiday season now. And it's like the whole month of December can get written off of like, oh, we can always start back in January. But I always try to equate it to, sometimes you have a task that you have to do, and it's something that you feel like it's a really big task, and maybe you just can't get it started. You feel maybe overwhelmed with all the things you have to do, but it's only when you actually sit down and write out what it is you have to do, and you break it down step by step. It's actually like, well, it's actually not too bad if I go step by step here. And it's the same idea when you're coming up to Christmas and you think, oh, I'm not going to be able to stick to my training, I'm not going to be able to stick to my nutrition. When we actually look at the month of December and how many days in that is there actually that I can't stick to my normal routine. I probably have one or two work functions, one day over Christmas, and then of course obviously there's other little bits around that. But generally speaking, my schedule is pretty much the same as always, bar, 3 or 4 days maybe. And when you look at it like that, it's like, okay, well, that's easy. That's pretty much every month. I have days like that or months like that and times like that. So I don't think it's as different to every other month in that sense. And I think when you actually plan it out like that and realize, okay, well, that day I definitely can't train, or that day I definitely can't stick to nutrition. Okay, well, we can work that into the plan, and still, accomplish everything else we would have in a normal month.
I really like that. I've never really thought about it like that, which I kind of guess brings us back to the importance of scheduling in your training anyway, no matter whether that's January, March, whatever. You're absolutely right. I guess most people's kind of sort of social functions probably might be sort of Thursdays and Fridays towards the back end of the week. Most people's family functions will probably be at the weekend. I always remember there was a guy who used to work on the program, Scott. I know you guys both know him, who would always say the importance of train on the day you have a social event as well. Let's try and see if we can create a bit of a calorie deficit somewhere at the beginning part of that day, even if we're not doing a huge amount of sort of creating a calorie deficit, but just attacking it with that kind of mindset of, okay, I've gone out for my 4 or 5K run, I've gone and lifted weights for an hour. Let's create a little bit of a savings account that we've got to go out and spend later on. What about diet for you guys? For me, when it comes to the month of December, I'm trying to heavily push exercise more than diet. I'm one of these people that will go, do you know what? It's only a month of the year. And like Colin just said there, it's actually probably not even, maybe it's 10 days worth of the year that your food might go off the rails a little bit. But what does nutrition look like for you, David, when you're discussing, somebody, for example, in a weight loss plan? What would you expect of them, and what would you expect them to see in the month of December from a weight loss perspective?
Yeah, I mean, similar to what you've just said. I think you've got to maybe make some compensations in and around the schedule. You know that your balance between expenditure and intake could go slightly towards more intake because of the amount of events you may be going to. So you've got to start looking at maybe ways in which you can maybe help that equation a little bit more in your favor by maybe doing something more energy expenditure wise, maybe getting up the steps. Um, but also, I liked what Colin said about maybe the first couple of weeks in December is in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And there's also quite a lot of opportunity there, maybe to create a little bit more of a deficit in the kind of the build up to knowing that maybe then another couple of weeks you're going to be a little bit more, in sociable activities and kind of, increasing your energy intake a little bit more. I know I'll never get someone to completely change their energy intakes over Christmas. I think
Yeah.
particularly, as I say, on a program such as this, where I think it's important for people to be social, it's important to people happy, and also working towards long-term health and longevity and sustainability. So you've got to be realistic. So I think let people enjoy what they've got, but at the same time, maybe make some other tweaks around it for their energy expenditure to maybe balance out a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. What about yourself, Colin? What is your approach in terms of sort of setting goals for your clients from a weight loss perspective in December?
Yeah, I mean, as you say there, obviously with all of the guys that we work with on this program, and as David said there, the overarching goal is always longevity. And with that, that's not going to be accomplished by, okay, let's lose as much weight as possible in the next, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 6 months, whatever. It's more about developing the habits that are going to mean you can manage and sustain your health over the long term. And so if a lot of the guys have been on the program for a while, hopefully you've started to develop a lot of those. You started to have a better understanding of nutrition and what's a good choice and what's a bad choice, and what's an efficient way to exercise if I have more time or less time. And once you start to develop a lot of those habits, it's much easier then to manage functions and gatherings and whatnot, and still absolutely enjoy yourself, absolutely socialize, but what's an appropriate amount and what's an excessive amount. And if you choose to have an excessive amount, you can, accept that and deal with that and go, okay, well, I've maybe set myself back a little bit, but that's okay because again, I'm in this for the long term. So I'm just going to go back to what I was doing. But I think, like I say, it's more hopefully the mindset and the habits have shifted to where it's not as daunting a thing when you see these events on the horizon, and that you're able to manage them better, you're able to navigate them better. And sometimes, like I say, sometimes the choice is I'm choosing the priority is to socialize and to enjoy spending time with loved ones, and that's okay as well. So it's kind of, again, it's not really going to massively change or massively set them back, I think, once you have those habits in place.
Absolutely.
It's interesting though, James, as well, just on the same subject, that sometimes people join on the program, I'll say to them when they go to say Thanksgiving evening or some sort of meal out, I'll say to them, yeah, go and eat and enjoy what food do you feel like eating for one day of the week, maybe just this specific occasion. And they're like, no, are you really, really sure about that? Can I eat what I want? And I'm like, yeah, well, in 10 years' time, when you're off this program, you're going to be doing that, aren't you? So we've got to be kind of trying to find things that we do that are going to make you sustain eating that you feel like now and again. But maybe let's look at the energy expenditure side. Let's look at increasing steps. Let's look at changing our schedule a little bit to make it sustainable. But it's amazing how people think that you're on a program and it's just we're going to tell you to do everything absolutely clean. You're going to eat just lettuce and you're just going to it's kind of a strange mindset that people think they're on a program that they're going to change everything, but you've got to be realistic as well. You've got to kind of create that sustainable
Absolutely.
balance, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, to be honest with you. I mean, my approach in December, for the month of December, is if anybody's on a weight loss program with me, for me, it's how about we just maintain? Because I've been a coach for a long time, and I've come back in January 1st, January 2nd, and I've seen people gain 7, 8, 9 pounds, which just blows my mind. And that is like sabotage at its absolute highest. And what I want to do is, like you mentioned there, it's about creating lifelong habits. And to be honest with you, we can make a solid 11 months worth of progress, albeit some work functions and holidays and stuff might get in the way. But if we can really create those long-term habits, 1 month where we're just looking to maintain is not going to knock you back. And actually, the most important thing for me and my sort of the mindset I want to adopt with my clients is it's the long term. Stop looking at things at a short term. You said earlier, about coming into this program for 3, 6 months, but you're successful if you're still doing it 5 to 10 years down the line. And that's what makes the real difference. That's slowly just chipping away. So, if we can sort of set up that mindset of, okay, right, for the whole of December, I'm going to look to maintain. I'm going to try and hit my nutrition as well as I can, as often as I can. I'm going to create deficits where I possibly can if I know I'm going out for big meals and big events, i.e., today is a perfect example. If it was me and I was over in the US right now, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday would have been very, very boring in my household because I know Thursday and Friday I'm going to go out and spend huge. We've actually only got 2.5 minutes left of this call, so I just kind of want to finish on sort of goal setting for the new year. What does that look like? Once the holiday season is kind of out of the way, what does goal setting, how do you get clients back on the plan if they've had a month where they've been fairly disrailed? Colin, over to you. And we'll probably just take Colin's answer. Go on.
Yeah, I'll just keep it really brief. Ultimately, it's about setting a goal, well, one of the person you want to be, and then reverse engineering that into what's the process to becoming that, and then what do I need to do every day to achieve that. So rather than any specific number or how you look or anything like that, think a bit more, how do I want to be? What do I want people to think of when they think of me? And then, like I say, just developing the habits each day to become that.
Excellent. David, how about yourself? Real quick, we've got 90 seconds.
Yeah, similar. I mean, it's got to be specific. You got to look at yourself really. What do you really want? Measurable as well. It's got to be something maybe that you can measure. Realistic. I think we often use the SMART guidelines, don't we? Of kind of just trying to set a goal that's kind of ticks all the boxes, and just making sure that it's something that's gonna fulfill you, make you feel happy about what you're doing, something to look forward to trying to achieve. And as a coach, we have to kind of really have a good chat with someone to maybe get to the bottom of what they really want to achieve. Because it could be something that's, obvious, but then it may be something a little bit away from that. So, be realistic about it. Make sure it's something that's sustainable, that you can kind of maybe get to and then keep going long term. And above all else, enjoy it. Enjoy the challenge of setting up something in the new year to go for.
I think just my final point, just jumping on the back of that as well, would be just remember that progress isn't always linear. So there will be bumps in the road. Christmas and Thanksgiving do get in the way. Don't let that derail you, but also allow yourself to relax and enjoy those special occasions as well. Guys, I'm going to have to finish there. It's been an absolute pleasure. I will see you all on Monday. Have a great weekend. Happy Thanksgiving for everyone listening, and I'll see you all next week. All right. Take care. Bye bye,
Cheers,
guys.
guys. Thank you.
Bye.